The xenobiology lab smelled like bleach and burnt wiring when the containment breach began. Marcus Chen gripped his mop handle tighter as emergency lights bathed the corridor in pulsing red. 3 years mopping floors at the Galactic Research Station, and he'd never heard that particular alarm, the one reserved for when something extremely dangerous was loose. His comm crackled. All non-essential personnel evacuate immediately. He turned toward the exit, then heard it. A small, terrified whimper from behind the sealed laboratory door. Marcus froze. The researchers had left 20 minutes ago for their shift break. The lab should have been empty. His hand hovered over the override panel, the one the night crew used to clean hazardous areas after hours. Using it during an active breach violated every protocol in the book. The whimper became a frightened cry. He slammed his palm against the panel. The door hissed open. Inside, 2 small figures huddled beneath the workstation, their iridescent skin shifting from deep purple to pale blue, the color of fear in Zelvieti. They couldn't have been more than 5 years old in human equivalent, with large golden eyes that fixed on him with desperate hope. "Please," the taller one whispered in accented standard. They ran. Marcus's blood went cold. These weren't lab specimens. Children didn't belong in his xenobiology wing. He knelt slowly, keeping his movements calm. "I'm here now. What's your—" The emergency lighting died. In the darkness, something hissed. Something large. Marcus's night vision implant activated automatically, painting the world in grayscale. 20 feet behind the children, a Viridian stalker uncurled from a broken containment pod. 8 feet of predatory muscle, mandibles dripping with paralytic venom, compound eyes already locked on the easiest prey. His mind raced through options. His comm was dead. The station's systems were down. The corridor outside offered no cover for the next 100 yards. The children were already crying, their movement triggering the stalker's hunting reflex. Marcus dropped his mop and spread his arms wide. "Get behind me, slowly," the smaller child whimpered. "It sees movement. I know. Do exactly what I say." He kept his voice low, steady. The children crept forward with agonizing slowness. "When I move, you run to the door. Don't look back. There's a supply closet 40 feet down the left corridor. Lock yourselves inside." The taller child's voice shook. "What about you? I'll be right behind you." The stalker's hind legs tensed. Marcus lunged sideways, grabbing a beaker from the counter and hurling it at the opposite wall. Glass shattered. The stalker's head snapped toward the sound. The children bolted. The predator's attention swung back instantly, drawn by the running motion. It leaped. Marcus threw himself into its path, tackling pure instinct with desperate physics. They crashed into a supply cabinet. Pain exploded across his ribs. Mandibles snapped inches from his throat. He wedged his forearm against its maw, felt the sting of venom coating his skin. His muscles began to seize. The supply closet door slammed shut in the distance. Good, that was good. The stalker's weight pressed down, crushing. Marcus's vision blurred. His free hand found cold metal, the fallen mop handle. With the last of his strength, he drove it upward into the soft joint where the creature's head met its thorax. Not a killing blow, but enough to make it recoil, shrieking. He crawled backward, dragging his numbing legs. The emergency door was still open, 3 feet. The stalker recovered, coiling to strike. Marcus grabbed the door frame and pulled himself through. His hand slapped the external panel. The door sealed just as mandibles crashed against reinforced steel. He collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. The paralysis was spreading. He had maybe 10 minutes before his diaphragm stopped working. His gaze found the supply closet. The indicator light showed locked from the inside. He crawled toward it, each movement an agony. His vision tunneled. When he finally reached the door, he tapped weakly. "It's me." "You're safe now." The door cracked open. 4 golden eyes stared out, wide with shock and something that looked like awe. The taller child's voice was barely a whisper. "You stayed." "Didn't leave kids behind." His words slurred. The venom was reaching his brainstem. "My name's Marcus. What's yours?" "I'm Kira. This is Nala." "Our mother is—" She stopped, eyes widening as she took in his condition. "You're dying." "Yeah, probably." "Listen." He fumbled at his neck, pulling off the emergency beacon he wore. Against regulations, but his daughter insisted after his last close call. He pressed it into Kira's small hand. "Press the red button. Medical will come. Tell them what happened. They'll protect you." "Why did you save us?" Nala's voice was so small. "You don't even know us." Marcus smiled despite the darkness creeping across his vision. Your kids. That's all I needed to know. Kira's hand closed around the beacon, then she pressed it against his chest instead. You activated it. You saved us. It should save you. The last thing Marcus heard before unconsciousness took him was the emergency beacon's piercing wail and Kira's voice whispering something in her native tongue that sounded like a prayer. Or maybe a promise. He woke to blinding white light and the steady beep of medical equipment. Easy. Don't try to move. A human voice, clinical and calm. You're lucky to be alive. Another 2 minutes and the venom would have stopped your heart. Marcus's mouth was dry as sand. The children, safe. Currently giving statements to security. The doctor's face came into focus, her expression complicated. You should know that you've created a significant diplomatic situation. Those weren't research subjects. They're the daughters of Queen Sherith of the Zelath Dominion. The room tilted sideways. They're what? Royalty. On a covert visit with their mother for treaty negotiations. When the breach occurred, their guardian escorts panicked and evacuated without them. The Queen is displeased. Is she going to sue me for touching them? The doctor actually laughed. No. But she is coming here, and she's bringing the full Royal Honor Guard. They arrive in 6 hours. Of course. He'd somehow managed to save alien royalty while violating about 40 different protocols. His supervisor was going to have an aneurysm. For what it's worth, the doctor said quietly, those children haven't left the waiting area. They've been asking about you every 10 minutes. The station commander had to promise them personally that you'd recover before they'd even agree to eat. Something warm and unexpected settled in Marcus's chest. Can I see them? Against protocol. They're in protective custody until their mother arrives. But I didn't hear you ask. The doctor tapped her calm. The patient is asking to see visitors. Yes, I know the protocols. I also know a medical professional's judgment supersedes security concerns when it comes to patient psychological recovery. 5 minutes later, 2 small figures appeared in the doorway, flanked by 2 very large, very armed Zelath guards. Kira and Nala wore formal robes now instead of lab clothes, but their eyes held the same mixture of fear and hope from the dark laboratory. Marcus! Nala rushed forward before the guards could stop her, her small hands gripping his. You're alive. Takes more than one venomous bug to stop me. He squeezed her fingers gently. Kira approached more slowly, her posture regal despite her age. We told them everything. About how you saved us. How you didn't run. She paused. Our mother is coming. She'll want to meet you. One of the guards stepped forward, his translator rendering his words in flat, precise standard. The Queen has decreed that the human Marcus Chen is to be granted full diplomatic protection until she arrives. None may harm him. Marcus blinked. That's very kind, but I'm just a janitor. I was just doing what anyone... No. Kira's voice was surprisingly firm. The researchers ran. The guards ran. You stayed. That means something. The hours until the Queen's arrival passed in a blur of medical checks, security debriefings, and increasingly frantic messages from the station commander begging Marcus to please, for the love of all that's holy, follow protocol when the Queen arrives. He was still trying to figure out what that protocol was when the royal ship docked. The entire station seemed to hold its breath. Queen Sherith of the Zelath Dominion entered the medical bay flanked by 20 elite guards, her presence commanding enough to make seasoned diplomats step back. She stood 7 feet tall, her iridescent skin shifting through deep purples and blues, crown adorned with living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Her golden eyes found Marcus immediately. He tried to stand, failed, settled for an awkward half-bow from the bed. Your Majesty. She moved toward him with liquid grace, and for a moment he wondered if he'd somehow offended her through sheer ignorance. Then she knelt, bringing herself to eye level, and placed one hand over her heart in a gesture he didn't recognize. You saved my children. Her voice resonated with harmonics that no human throat could produce. When others fled, you stayed. When death approached, you stood between them and harm. Why? The question was simple. The weight behind it was enormous. Marcus thought of his own daughter, 8 years old, living with her mother on Earth. He thought of every child who'd ever been afraid in the dark. Because they needed help. Because they were scared. Because that's what you do. That's what you do, the Queen repeated softly. Not what protocols dictate. Not what duty requires. What you do. She studied him for a long moment. Do you have children, Marcus Chen? A daughter. Amy. I haven't seen her in 2 years. The words hurt. My ex-wife has custody. I work here to send money back home. The Queen's expression shifted to something that might have been understanding. Then you comprehend what you saved. Not just lives, but a mother's entire world. She stood, gesturing to one of her guards. He stepped forward bearing a small crystalline object that pulsed with inner light. This is a heartstone from our homeworld. It carries my personal seal. While you hold it, you are under the protection of the Zelath Dominion. No harm may come to you. No door may be closed against you. You are a friend to the crown.
Marcus accepted it carefully. The crystal was warm against his palm.
Your Majesty, I appreciate this, but I really don't need... You need everything, she said quietly. You are what your species calls a single father, separated from your child, working to support her from across the galaxy. Her golden eyes seemed to pierce through him. Did you think I would not investigate the human who saved my daughters? Heat crept up his neck. I'm nobody special. You're a father willing to die for children not his own. That makes you exceptional by any measure. She paused. I have a proposition. My daughters need a guardian. Someone who understands sacrifice. Someone who demonstrated courage when trained warriors fled. Marcus's heart stopped. I don't understand. I am queen, but I am also mother. The treaty negotiations will continue for 6 months. My daughters must remain here for their safety. They need someone they trust. She gestured to Kira and Nala, who'd been watching from the doorway. They need someone who already proved he'd protect them. Be their guardian, Marcus Chen, not as employee, but as family. The room felt too small and too large at once. I'm a janitor. I don't know anything about raising Zealoth children. But you know about protecting them. You know about staying when others run. The Queen's voice softened. I cannot trust just anyone with my children. I can only trust someone who already chose them over his own life. Will you accept? Marcus looked at Kira and Nala. They stared back with such hope it physically hurt. He thought of Amy, of how much he missed bedtime stories and scraped knees and terrible school plays. He thought of the hole in his chest that distance had carved. These weren't his children, but they needed him. And he'd already decided back in that dark laboratory that need was enough. Yes, he said quietly, I'll protect them. The Queen's hand came to rest briefly on his shoulder. Then they are yours to guard until my return. Harm them, and no force in the galaxy will save you. Protect them well, and you will have the gratitude of an entire empire. She straightened, addressing her guards in the clicking, harmonic language of her people. They responded with precise salutes, then filed out, leaving only 4 behind. Kira and Nala approached the bed slowly. Kira spoke first. We asked Mother if you could be our guardian. We told her we only felt safe with you. I'm honored, Marcus said, meaning it. But I should warn you, I'm not great at this. My own kid thinks I'm boring. Nala's laugh sounded like wind chimes. You fought a stalker with a stick. You're not boring. Fair point. The next 3 weeks rewrote everything Marcus thought he knew about his life. The station provided him with quarters adjacent to the royal suite, a space far nicer than anywhere he'd ever lived. The guards monitored from a respectful distance, but Kira and Nala insisted on spending most of their time with him. He learned that Zealoth children were curious, mischievous, and absolutely terrible at human board games. Nala had a gift for languages and spent hours teaching him basic Zelath phrases. Kira was quieter, more observational, but had a wicked sense of humor that emerged when she thought no one was watching. They asked him about Earth, about his daughter, about what humans ate and how they celebrated, and whether it was true that humans sometimes kept small carnivores as pets. You mean cats? Marcus pulled up a photo of his ex-wife's tabby. Yeah, some humans are weird like that. Nala's eyes went wide. It's so small. How does it survive? By manipulating humans into feeding it. He scrolled to another photo, Amy holding the cat, her smile gap-toothed and perfect. His chest tightened. Kira noticed immediately. You miss her. Every day. Why don't you go back? The question was simple and devastating. Because I need to work. Because her mother and I can't be in the same room without fighting. Because space is expensive and Earth is far away and I'm just a janitor who got lucky saving a couple of kids. Silence settled over them. Then Nala climbed onto the couch beside him, her small head resting against his arm. We're glad you saved us. Me too, kid.
Me too. The days developed a rhythm.
Mornings were for lessons. The Queen had sent tutors who taught history and mathematics and protocols that Marcus found baffling. Afternoons were his, and he took the children to the station's observation deck, the hydroponics bay, anywhere that felt like an adventure compressed into sterile corridors. Evenings were hardest. That's when Kira and Nala would grow quiet, missing their mother. That's when Marcus would tell stories about Earth, about forests and oceans, and the daughter who loved catching fireflies in summer twilight. "I'd like to meet her someday," Kira said one night. "You're Amy. She'd like you too." She's always wanted siblings. The words hung in the air, heavier than he'd intended. On the 25th day, everything changed. Marcus was teaching the girls how to make paper airplanes, a human tradition that translated surprisingly well, when his comm buzzed. The Queen's personal channel. Marcus Chen. Immediately, the royal suite felt different when he entered. Colder. The Queen stood by the window, her back rigid, skin shifting through colors he'd learned meant stress. Her guards flanked her, weapons not drawn but ready. "Your Majesty?" Marcus's voice came out steadier than he felt.
Is something wrong?
She turned. Her eyes held fury barely contained. The negotiations have failed. There was an assassination attempt on the Terran ambassador. My people are being blamed. She moved closer. War is coming, Marcus Chen. My children are no longer safe here. His blood turned to ice. What do you need me to do? I need you to take them to Earth. Now, before the station is locked down. She produced a data chip. This contains everything: diplomatic credentials, financial accounts, housing arrangements. You'll have resources. You'll have protection. You'll have everything except me. Your Majesty, I cannot leave. If I flee, it proves guilt. I must stay and fight for peace, even as weapons are being prepared. Her voice cracked just slightly. But I cannot keep my children in a war zone. I need someone I trust, someone who proved he'd die for them. Marcus took the chip with shaking hands. How long? I don't know. Months. Maybe years. She gripped his shoulders, her strength nearly painful. I am trusting you with everything I love. Keep them safe. Raise them if necessary. Let them know they were wanted, that their mother fought for peace so they could have a future. I swear it. On my life, on my daughter, I'll protect them. The Queen pulled him into an embrace that smelled of ozone and something sweet he couldn't name. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for being the one who stayed. The evacuation happened in a blur. Kira and Nala, confused and frightened, clinging to his hands as he rushed them through maintenance corridors to an unmarked shuttle. The guards who saluted him with respect that felt unearned, the station alarms beginning to wail as the lockdown initiated. They made it out with 7 minutes to spare. Earth loomed in the viewport, blue and white and achingly familiar. Marcus had left 2 years ago with nothing but debt and failure. He was returning with 2 alien children, a queen's trust, and absolutely no idea how to explain any of this to his ex-wife. Marcus? Kira's voice was small. What if she never comes back? What if war takes her? He pulled both girls close, feeling them tremble. Then you'll have me. And I'll make sure you know every day how much your mother loved you. How she chose peace over safety. How she trusted a janitor with her greatest treasure. You're not just a janitor, Nala said fiercely. You're our guardian. Yeah, Marcus said softly. I guess I am. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere. He sent a message to his ex-wife. Incoming with complications. Please don't hang up. Her face appeared on the screen, older than he remembered. Tired. Marcus? What's wrong? Is Amy okay? Amy's fine. But I need your help. I'm bringing home 2 children who need protection. Their mother is a queen. There might be a war. I have diplomatic credentials. I realize this sounds insane. Wait. Sarah's eyes narrowed. You're bringing alien children to my house? Our house, the one the queen bought. With a security detail. He pulled up the documents. I know this is crazy, but they saved my life and I saved theirs, and now their mother needs me to keep them safe while she tries to stop a war. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Let me talk to them. He handed the comm to Kira. The little girl straightened, suddenly regal. Hello? I'm Kira. This is my sister Nala. Our mother is Queen Shareth. Marcus saved us from a monster. Now he's promised to protect us until Mother can come back. We don't want to be a burden, but we're scared and we don't know anyone else.
Oh, honey.
Sarah's voice softened in a way Marcus hadn't heard in years. You're not a burden. Any child Marcus would risk his life for is welcome here. We'll figure it out. Relief nearly buckled his knees. The shuttle landed in a private field outside a house far nicer than anything Marcus could have afforded. Security personnel in civilian clothes were already positioned at key points. A black vehicle waited, doors open. And standing on the porch clutching a stuffed dinosaur was Amy. His daughter had grown. 2 years of video calls hadn't prepared him for how much taller she was, how her features had sharpened toward the young woman she'd become. She stared at the shuttle with wide eyes. Marcus descended the ramp, Kira and Nala flanking him. "Amy! I'm home." Amy looked at the two Zalath children, at their shimmering skin and golden eyes in obvious fear. Then she walked forward. Dinosaur extended. "Hi, I'm Amy. Do you like dinosaurs? This one's a Stegosaurus. He's the best because he has cool plates." Nala reached out tentatively, touching the stuffed toy. "It's soft. You can hold him if you want. He makes a good pillow." Amy turned to Marcus, and he saw tears streaming down her face. "You really came back." He knelt, pulling her into a hug that hurt in all the best ways. "I'm sorry I was gone so long. I'm sorry I missed so much, but I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. Promise?" "Promise." Sarah appeared in the doorway, and Marcus braced for conflict. Instead, she just shook her head with something like wonder. "Only you could go to space as a janitor and come back as a royal guardian. Only you." "I'm still a janitor at heart." "No." She looked at Kira and Nala, who stood uncertain and small despite their royal bearing. "You're a father. Maybe not a perfect one, but the kind who stays when it matters." The house was chaos for weeks. Amy appointed herself as official tour guide, dragging Kira and Nala through every room while explaining Earth customs with the confidence of an expert. The girls learned about pizza and cartoons and the glory of blanket forts. They taught Amy Zeleth songs and how to make her skin shimmer using bioluminescent paint. Security maintained a discreet perimeter. Diplomatic channels opened, allowing the Queen to send messages. Brief, encrypted, desperate. The war she'd feared was brewing, alliances fracturing, peace growing more distant. But here, in this house, there was laughter. Marcus found himself settling into a routine he'd never imagined. Mornings meant breakfast chaos as 3 children argued about cereal choices. Days meant homework help and explaining why humans couldn't naturally change skin color and negotiating whose turn it was to pick the movie. Nights meant stories on the couch, 3 small bodies piled against him while he read from books Amy had loved and new ones the Queen had sent from across the galaxy. "Marcus?" Kira asked one evening. "If Mother can't come back, would we stay here, with you?" The question everyone had been avoiding. He chose his words carefully. "Your mother is fighting for peace. She's fighting to come back to you. But if the worst happens, if she can't return, then yes. You'll stay here. You'll be part of this family." "What if humans don't want us?" Nala's voice was barely a whisper. "What if they think we're the enemy?" Sarah spoke from the doorway, arms crossed but expression soft. "Then they'll have to go through all of us. You're under our protection now. Your family." Amy nodded seriously. "Yeah. Anyone who messes with my sisters has to deal with me." "Sisters?" Kira's eyes widened. "Well, yeah. Marcus is your guardian, and he's my dad, so that makes us sisters, obviously. The logic was 8-year-old simple and absolutely perfect. Months passed. The war escalated. The Queen's messages became less frequent, more urgent. Marcus watched news broadcasts showing Zeleth ships in combat, Terran vessels responding, diplomatic channels collapsing. He held Kira and Nala while they cried for their mother. He called in favors from people the Queen had connected him with, asking for any information, any hope, and he kept his promise. Every single day, he made sure they knew they were loved, wanted, protected. On the day everything changed again, Marcus was in the kitchen making lunch when his comms screamed an emergency alert. He grabbed it, saw the Queen's personal code. The message was audio only, broken by static. Marcus. Treaty signed. Peace achieved. "Coming home. Tell my daughters I'm coming home." He dropped the comm. Found the girls in the living room teaching Amy a Zeleth card game. They looked up, saw his expression. "Your mother's coming home." The shriek of joy probably violated several noise ordinances. The Queen arrived 3 days later with a diplomatic envoy and security that made the Secret Service look casual. She strode through the door Marcus opened and stopped, staring at the scene before her. Her daughter sat at a dining table covered in art supplies, laughing with a human child. Marcus stood at the stove, flower in his hair, explaining something about cookies. Sarah was on the couch reading, looking up with cautious welcome. This wasn't a royal court. This was a home. "Mother!" Kira and Nala launched themselves across the room. The queen caught them, sinking to her knees, her composure finally breaking as she held them and wept. Marcus gave them space, focusing on the cookies that absolutely did not need this much attention. But the queen stood, daughter still clinging to her, and approached. "You kept them safe. I promised I would. You gave them more than safety. You gave them a home, a family." She looked around the modest house. "I can give them palaces. I can give them empires. But I cannot give them what you've built here. Your Majesty." "Sheriff," she corrected gently. "You've earned the right to my name." She paused. "The war is over. The treaty holds. My daughters should return to their homeworld." Every word was reasonable. Every word felt like losing something precious. "But," the queen continued, "they have grown to love it here, love this family you've created, and I find myself unwilling to take them from it." She met his eyes. "I propose a different arrangement. 6 months on Zeleth, learning their heritage and responsibilities. 6 months here, with you and Amy, learning what it means to be brave and kind." Marcus's throat closed. "You'd trust me with them that much? I would trust you with anything." She placed a hand over her heart. "You are the human who stayed, who protected them not for reward or glory, but because it was right. That is worth more than all the treaties in the galaxy. I don't want payment. I just want them to be happy." "I know. That's why you're perfect for this." She looked at her daughters. "What do you think? Would you like to have 2 homes? 2 families?" Kira and Nala looked at each other, then at Amy, who was watching with barely contained hope. "Can Amy visit our planet?" Nala asked. "If her mother agrees." Sarah snorted. "Try stopping her. My daughter just got 2 alien sisters. She'd probably stow away." Then it's settled. The queen straightened, regal once more. "Marcus Chen, I name you guardian to the royal house. You will be provided with resources, diplomatic status, and the eternal gratitude of my people. More importantly, you will be part of my children's lives. Always. I don't deserve this. You deserve everything." Shareth's voice was fierce. "You were dismissed as a janitor. Overlooked. Underestimated. But when it mattered most, you were the only one who stayed. Never forget your worth." The months that followed were a chaotic blend of 2 worlds. Marcus found himself shuttling between Earth and Zeloth, learning protocols and customs while teaching alien nobility about pizza and baseball. Amy became the first human child to attend the Zeloth Royal Academy, making friends across species lines with the same ease she'd welcomed Kira and Nala. Kira grew into her role as heir, wise beyond her years, but always made time for movie nights and blanket forts. Nala developed a passion for xenobiology, specifically studying the stalker that had nearly killed Marcus. She wanted to understand what made creatures dangerous, so she could protect others. Sarah and Sharith became unlikely friends, trading stories of motherhood and the challenges of raising children in complicated circumstances. The alliance between Earth and Zelath strengthened, built on a foundation of trust that started with one janitor's choice to stay. On the 5-year anniversary of that night in the laboratory, Marcus stood in the palace gardens watching his daughters play, all 3 of them. Amy had learned to shimmer her skin using bioluminescent paint, and Kira and Nala had developed a disturbing fondness for Earth horror movies. Sharith joined him, her presence warm and familiar. "Do you ever regret it? The quiet life you left behind?" Marcus thought about dark laboratories and paralytic venom, about frightened children and impossible promises. He thought about the man he'd been, alone, separated from his daughter, believing himself insignificant. "Not even once," he said. "Good." She smiled. "Because I have another proposition. The Galactic Council needs someone to head a new initiative protecting vulnerable children across species lines. Someone who understands sacrifice. Someone who proved he'd die for children not his own. I'm not qualified. You're perfectly qualified. And you'd have the full support of the Zelath Dominion, Earth's governments, and 3 very determined daughters who think their father can do anything." Marcus looked at the children, at Amy teaching Kira and Nala some elaborate game involving painted rocks and complex rules only 8-year-olds understood. He thought about other children, other species, other moments when someone might need to choose between safety and doing what's right. "Okay," he said quietly, "let's protect some kids." Years later, when historians wrote about the Great Alliance and the Children's Protection Initiative that changed the galaxy, they would focus on treaties and diplomatic achievements. They would talk about the visionary queen who bridged worlds and the human who became a symbol of interspecies cooperation. But those who knew the truth understood it started simpler than that. It started with a janitor who heard a frightened cry in the dark and stayed. End of human single dad janitor left with the alien queen's daughters. Then she arrived.